Okay, so guys, today what we're doing is we're doing a test of our iDataLink Maestro RR modules with a Kenwood 10.1 inch screen. Now, why this is so important on this RAM 1500 is because even within this very small 5-inch screen radio that comes from factory with the RAM, there's a lot of settings and bits and pieces in there that control other functions in the vehicle that when you replace the radio normally, you're going to lose them. So what we do now is if we go into the settings, you can see that a lot of these functions like units and there's also settings in here for the safety assistance. Then you've also got settings in here for your trailer brake and also audio functions as well, fader, equalizer, all those kind of things. Volume for your speed dependent volume. You've also got ones with your lights, so you can set how all of those features are going to of the vehicle are going to function. Doors and locks, again, lots of settings that if you replace this with a normal aftermarket radio, they're not going to maintain these functions. They will keep things like your steering wheel, they will maintain your factory reverse camera, but then all these other features and functions you're going to lose. You'll also lose in some of these vehicles your rear park sensor beeps, so you'll just lose them altogether. Whereas with the iDataLink Maestro, we're going to be able to keep all of these features and functions. You can also see in the information cluster over here that the radio is sending audio information into there too. So we're going to be trying to maintain all of those features with the Kenwood radio that would normally be lost when you're using any other form of aftermarket radio system. So stay tuned and we'll get this Kenwood and iDataLink Maestro installed and we'll show you the end result shortly. So we've just finished installing this 10.1 inch Kenwood head unit into this 1500 Ram Express. Now we just wanted to show you some different angles and different aspects so you can see how nicely this head unit actually fits in this vehicle. Some people would be worried that it starts to block the view of vents and that kind of thing, but really there's no issue with that. The unit does sit really nicely in this dash. There's a couple of adjustments we do also have with the Kenwood unit. We can tilt the head unit very easily straight away. We can just grab it. It's very firm, which is good, so it's not going to rattle around when you're driving. So we can adjust that angle. There's also some screws on the side behind that allow this to drop down a little bit further too. So this is at its highest point currently, but that can be adapted to suit the individual driving position so that it's the best view. The system also dims down really nicely at night time, so the screen is not going to be really bright and glary in your eyes at night time because it is a big screen. So that's another consideration to remember as well. Now, as you saw in our previous video, this system is going to maintain a lot of features and functions that would be normally lost if you removed the factory radio. But first, just a couple of points about the Kenwood unit itself. So this unit has CarPlay. It's completely wireless, so there's no cable plugged in. It's also got Android Auto wireless, which can be a little bit phone dependent depending on the type of Android phone you have as to whether it will work wirelessly. Otherwise you can connect that up through a cable. It has obviously that digital radio, AM FM radio. It doesn't have offline navigation. You're going to use the maps from your CarPlay system to do that. So that's just something to remember, because when you do go out into the bush or regional areas, you are fairly dependent on phone reception for CarPlay and Android Auto unless you want to buy some mapping apps. But the system itself, we can go into the menus and you can see all of the different features and functions that it has. It's got wireless mirroring for Android users, obviously USB, Bluetooth streaming, HDMI input. It's got all the main things that you're going to be looking for in a unit, and a really big display with some really cool little buttons down the bottom here to easily access home. If you're towing, you can add a camera, a towing camera, and that can be easily accessed through that camera button. You've also got this little button there that takes you straight back to CarPlay or Android Auto, whichever one's connected. We can press that button too to easily access the menus. And these options down the bottom here can easily be customizable too. So depending on what your setup is, let's say you want radio down here instead of Android Auto, we can press and hold that and drag that down and customize those bottom 4 options to the ones that you use the most. So you can see them easily accessed down the bottom. So that's a little bit about the actual unit. It doesn't have a CD or DVD player, obviously, but it does cover most of the features and functions that people are looking for in this day and age. So what we'd like to do now is go through how this Kenwood head unit, along with the iDataLink Maestro system that we've installed, is going to allow you to keep all of those factory radio functions and go through all of the things that it does. So right here on the front screen, you can see it's got these widgets, and you can see here it's displaying the vehicle tire pressure monitoring system. So that's in PSI, so that's very applicable to what we use here in Australia. And it's also got your climate control settings. So if I adjust the fan speed, you can see that's going to adjust there, and also the temperature. So very easy, at a glance, you can see the current climate control setup. Now if I go to our CarPlay screen and I make those adjustments again, you can see it will pop up with this screen. It shows you your outside temperature. We can go in and set in the settings there whether you want this to pop up every time you make an adjustment, or if you just are happy to see it down with the buttons down the bottom. Now, on some of the more higher end models, maybe say like a Laramie, where the climate controls down the bottom here are more advanced, you will actually have touch control over your climate control on those buttons. So if I turn that on now, you can see they are actually buttons. It's just that we're using dials here, so we obviously can't control the dial with an electronic button. So that's a really cool feature that you can, even though that doesn't display on the factory radio when you make those adjustments, the iDataLink Maestro system with this Kenwood head unit will display your climate control info if you want. Another important function as well is when we go into reverse. The system comes plug and play and will allow you to keep your park sensors. So currently here we've got the lines on the system from the Kenwood, which we can turn off, and we can leave those moving lines that come from the factory camera. Also, the park sensor system, you can see here, you will see a visual display of your park sensors, and unlike other aftermarket radio solutions, you will also maintain the parking sensor chimes as well, so you can hear them and also have a visual display up on the screen. Now this customer here, he's actually updated his cluster display and steering wheel, so he's got a bigger information screen in there, so he can see this information in there as well. But normally on a normal 1500 Express, you're a little bit more limited to the information that you get in here. So we are really reliant on some of the features and the information that you're going to get on the Kenwood screen. Now if we go back to our home here and we go to all of our options, we've also got a vehicle information screen. So you can see there it's telling us what gear we're in. If I put that back in park, you've also got your tire pressure monitoring. You've also got check engine light, so you can actually go in and see if you've got a code and see what it is, even clear it. You've got your current battery voltage. You've got your current course, so heading east. And we'll also have a second battery voltage reading there as well in the next software version that we release. So on this screen, if you were to have a tire that was going low, this screen would automatically pop up and alert you and highlight the actual tire that is having a problem. So that's a really handy feature to be able to maintain that functionality as well. Again, if we go into our settings, we can go to gauges, and here we can go in and program all sorts of gauges. Here we've got 0 to 100 kilometers per hour time, but if let's say we wanted to change that, we can go up. We can change that through all of these different menus. So we might change that to, for example, to RPM, and then we can go back out, and there you've got the current revs being displayed. And if I give it a bit of a blip, you can see that it's responding to that as well. So you've got 2 pages of gauges. So you've got page 1 and page 2, and you can program these to everything, any of those menus that you want. So we could change that kilometers per hour, and this is all coming from the OBD of the vehicle, so it's very, very accurate information as well. So you've got all these different menus that you can set up: distance to empty, all your fuel settings, battery voltage, your fuel economy, acceleration. All these menus are what are available to be displayed on these 2 gauges screens. Now, the other key thing that people lose when they replace the head unit is the ability to control your factory amplifier. The audio will still work, but you can lose functions like your fade, balance, treble, and bass, and all those kind of audio settings. So if we actually go into the settings of the Kenwood head unit, under fade and balance in here, you can control the factory amplifier's fading and balance as well at the same time. So that's all controlled through the Kenwood head unit, and it works seamlessly. Some more important features that are generally lost, we can find under the setup menu again. If we go here to system and OEM setup, now this is where all those functions that we showed you in the factory radio can be found. So if we go to vehicle features, vehicle settings, now we can go into safety and driving. We can adjust the park sensor volume. We can adjust the park camera delay. We can also turn hill start assist on or off. If we go into cluster display here, we can also change a few things like the information that's displayed from an audio perspective in the cluster, which I'll show you that a little bit later. Then we can go into lights, so all your settings for your headlights and lock systems and headlight wipers. Then we've got doors and locks. So again, lots of settings that are in the radio that if you put another aftermarket radio in, that you're not most likely going to lose all of these settings and the ability to change them. If you go to the engine off settings, again we can change those settings, and probably one of the most important ones is your trailer settings. So you've got all access to that just like the factory radio. So you can see that this system just integrates seamlessly with this RAM. But another really key feature obviously is when it comes to our steering wheel controls. So all of the audio controls, this one's been upgraded, so it's got volume and source and that kind of thing on the back of the steering wheel. They're all working. We've got our voice control and our phone button, and we can actually program them to do different functions with a long press. So if I was to press this voice control button, it's going to activate Siri because my iPhone is connected. If I short press that again, it turns it off. But if I long press that now, I can get that to bring up the gauges screen on the Kenwood head unit. I can also get it to activate camera settings, all sorts of other menus and options. We can program every button to do multiple functions, one for a short press and one for a long press. And with this vehicle, with the upgraded instrument cluster, you can see in there it's got some audio information from the radio as well. And as I track skip, you can see that that information will change. So that's there displaying everything from the audio that's currently playing. So the system, as you can see, integrates absolutely seamlessly. It gives you all the information that you need that the vehicle comes with standard, and the ability to adjust and change those settings, and you don't lose any of the functionality that you have in the vehicle. So it's the perfect upgrade, especially for Ram trucks. So feel free to give us a call if you've got any questions. But otherwise, hope this video has helped you to see that you do actually have a really good option to upgrade that small 5-inch screen, or even some of the older Rams with the older 8.4-inch screens that have no nav or CarPlay. We can accommodate that with this system. So if you've got any questions, give us a call or shoot us an email and let us know how we can help you.